Hi, I'm Chas, and you're watching Chas's Crazy Creations. Head over to Dollar Tree and grab some of these supplies to make these awesome DIYs. Let's get started. For these projects, I'll be using the xTool S1 laser cutter. I'll be starting the first project with the Crafter Square wood blanks, which is a 6-pack. I opened up xTool's Creative Space, and then I marked the kind of wood that I'd be using. I also set up the distance. This shows you on the screen what's happening as well as on the machine, and it's just marking where the location of the piece of wood is. I then set up the marking process, and this allows me to select the shape of the piece that I'll be working with. I then move to the xTool and I mark the top corner, and then I press the button, and then I mark the bottom corner and press the button again. I then go back to the computer and mark done, and then it populates the size image that I'm working with. For this first project, I'm going to be using Creative Space's options. So they have several animals, shapes, and all kinds of things to choose from. I selected the dolphin for my daughter. I took my shape and I made it bigger. Then I marked that to scoring, so that would be a scored line. I duplicated the dolphin, so there would be a second outline on the outside of it. This one I would mark to cut, so that it would cut on that line. I also added some text and centered that up, and I marked that to engrave. I also added a little circle to cut so that I'd have the opportunity to hang this little ornament. I grouped it together and then moved it into the rectangle. I double-checked my settings, and then I marked it to frame so that I could see that it was positioned in the right place on the machine. Once all that was complete, I double-checked my settings and then selected Process. Once that was ready, I pressed OK on the machine, and it started engraving and cutting and scoring my dolphin onto the wood. Once it was finished, I went ahead and opened up the lid and pulled out the dolphin, and then it popped easily out of the wood, and I just had to clean it up just a little bit. This one is all complete. Here's a second option that I made. Basically, I repeated the whole process all over again, but this time using a spider and then a different name. Once it was processed, I turned it on and let it do its thing. Now it will choose its own order to do things in. This one started with engraving, followed by scoring, then followed by cutting. You can go with the suggested settings, or you can create your own settings and order. Once it was finished, I pulled it out, and here you can see the completed spider. This one popped right out as well, and then I just used a little tool to kind of pick out between all of the legs to get the rest of those little pieces out of there. It cleaned up super fast and really easy. What would you make? Let me know in the comments below. For this next project, I'm going to be using one of the dollar store's bamboo cutting boards. Just like before, I set up all the parameters ahead of time so I know exactly where I would be engraving. I took a photo of some art my daughter had made many years ago, and I imported it with the settings to import an image. From here, there are a lot of options of what you can do with images. I set this one up just to engrave. Once I had all of the settings in place, I went ahead and processed it and then turned it on and let it do its job. It started from the top and worked its way straight down this time. Now for this one, I set the power and the speed up manually. And here's a quick look at the laser engraved cutting board. For this project, I'll be using a dollar store wooden picture frame. I put the wood into the xTool S1 machine, and once again, I used the Creator Space to create a design. I was able to create a perimeter and text to create an upcoming wedding gift for a friend. Once the design was all set up, I turned the laser printer on. It started with the outside perimeter and once again chose its own order. So after the perimeter, it worked on the text from the top to the bottom. Once it was done, I opened the lid and pulled it out. Here's a quick look at how the picture frame looks this far. For this project, I'll be using a wood slice sign that I found at the dollar store. And for this project, I created a design that I liked in Canva, and then I exported it, and then I imported it into xTool's Creator Space. Once all of my settings were ready, I went ahead and started the machine. Now, the length of time it takes to laser engrave each of these projects is different. It really depends upon the power and speed settings and how fast it will get done. Once this project was finished, I opened the lid and removed the sign, and here's a quick look of what it looks like so far. Now here's a quick look at what my xTool S1 laser cutter did. So it made a cutting board, a sign, a picture frame, and some ornaments. Now I'm going to take this a step further and do some more. Want to be notified of future videos? Look for the link in the description below. So for the dolphin, I'm going to be using Folk Art Home Decor Wood Tint in the color Cascade. For the spider, I'm going to be using Folk Art Ultra Dye in the color Infrared. So for the dolphin, I'm just going to start painting on the wood tint. Now, wood tint works a lot like a stain, so it soaks right into the wood. It looks quite lovely. You can paint one layer on, you can paint more layers on, and then you can also take a damp rag and wipe off the excess, which then also gives it that stained look. And I'm going to start painting the spider with the wood tint. This also works like a stain and soaks nicely into the wood. You can do as many coats as you'd like, and you can also wipe the excess off with these. One of the things I like about both of these is that they're both water-based, and so they clean out of your brushes easy. I recommend wearing gloves though, because the stains can stain your skin. For this project, I'm going to be using Folk Art acrylic paint in the color navy, and I'm also going to use Folk Art Treasure Gold, as these are the wedding colors. I'm going to place a piece of stencil tape down right on the edge so that I can only focus on painting one side with the navy paint. And then I'll start painting the navy paint onto this side. It's a great idea to work with the grain when painting, and this will soak in as well, but because it's paint, it will float on top. While the paint is still wet, I'm going to peel off the stencil tape so that the paint won't stick to it and peel up later. And then for the gold paint, I'm going to paint all of the edges. So the top, the bottom, and the sides, as well as the edges in the heart. I'm going to let this dry completely, and then I'll give it a top coat to protect it later. For my sign, I'm going to leave it like it is, but I want to protect it. So I'm going to put a layer of Folk Art Outdoor Satin Sealer on it. Now, I plan to keep mine inside, but this would be a great option if you did want to hang something outside. Now this is a water-based sealer, so I'm going to go ahead and give nice, smooth, light coats all the way across, and then I'm going to let this dry according to the package instructions, and then I'll add several layers to give it a nice, smooth look. Here's a quick look at these laser engraver projects one more time. And I hope this inspires you to try the xTool S1 laser cutter. I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel and my blog at chascrazycreations.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Want 21 sensible home hacks to make you a smarter homeowner? Look for the link in the description below.